plan on what we had for demo today. So our main purpose was inventory management and procurement order. I know I showed some of this as snippets since the team was ahead of schedule last time. But either ways, I'll go through it. We've had some updates on our base product as well. So our receiving is much more better, improved now. So I'll be running through that as well, so you can see the updated version of receiving, trying to make it more easy or simpler for the users itself. So we're going to go through those pieces today. You'll see ability to transfer inventory between locations as well. So that would come under inventory management. I believe we have shown you put away in the last demo, but I'll go through the whole process, so that will be included as well. But that's our goal for today. The guys are working on the customer lease management and project order. So I have some snippets wherein I can basically show you towards the end what we have so far. Again, they're still working on it. It's still being developed, but at least I can show you some snippets on what's going to happen after this demo. And as I said, 4, 5, 5th of April would be our UAT release date. So just like last time, you'll get the details, credentials, URLs, manuals, test scripts, and any release notes if there's anything specific that comes up. Okay. But here I'm logging into the system. I'm working off of a dev environment today, so might be a little on the slower side. So I apologize for that in advance. But okay, so I've logged in as a user. I've made my landing page as the procurement order, so I directly land here. You can choose that from elsewhere as well. Sorry, this was the icon. So you can choose any other landing page if you want to. Not sure if I showed you that before. I just wanted to make sure. Let me just say okay. Oops. And let me see what's happening with this. Okay, so clear issue there. I'm not able to get to the end of the page, not sure why. But let's click on this. Okay. All right. So firstly, from an inventory perspective, let me actually start with the procurement order, and I'll show you the updated receiving, the assembly piece that has been configured. It's much more cleaner, simpler now. We have these queues coming up as well, so you can directly go to a queue and perform a specific task if you want to, and then I'll get to transfer inventory. So as always, any order that you get to, you have open close tabs. You have tiles up top. Those tiles still need to be configured, so you'll see specific analytics or metrics up there relevant to you guys. But for now, I've got 2 PO numbers that I already created. I'm going to create a new one this time. Let me pull up some product asset tags. Okay, all right. Before I use those, let's start plugging in the information. So PO date, I'm just going to say today. Ship to facility, we just have Nixon's right now. Supplier, just a dummy supplier for the moment. As soon as I add the supplier, the item grid shows up. I believe I showed you last time how a supplier can be created, how items can be added to a supplier, right? So essentially that remains the same, no change in that. You can associate due date at the order level. Again, promise date may or may not be needed. You guys can let us know. We can easily make it optional or just hide it. Currency, obviously, it's going to be USD. If tomorrow we move globally, depending on where you are, the currency would automatically change. Cost is or total amount, is calculated based on the products that I'll be adding in just a few seconds. Other than that, any comments if you want to add those are optional. But let's go ahead and add items to this procurement order. So I'm going to choose one non-serialized and one serialized item just for the purpose of the demo. Let me scan this one. Let's see what this is. Something named Monte Carlo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I need 3 of these. Click on add. As soon as I do so, item, its asset tag, and any other information that's associated with it gets shown here. Again, serialized, serial number, serialized, that's something based on the base product itself. And like I said, I'm showing you the dev environment, By the time we get to UAT, those should be scrubbed off. Due date can also be assigned at the product level, as I mentioned last time. Uh, Other than that, let's add a non-serialized item. Okay, there you go. I see it's a bed frame. I'm going to say I am going to need one of this and click on add. As soon as I do so, items start showing up here. Cost, whatever cost you've decided, whatever is populated off of the product catalog in the system, those prices will show up. Obviously, you have an option to delete it if you accidentally add something. If not, let's assume you've added everything correctly. So 3 and 1, so you've got 4 items that we're going to receive. Okay, due date. I got to associate a due date as well. And again, these due dates can be optional. It's just how the base product is that it's mandatory within there, but we can make it optional. I know a lot of my customers don't need it. 3PLs especially need it. So it really depends on the business. But either ways, I'm going to save this order. A new PO is created ending with 8. If I get into this PO, I'll be able to see there are 2 line items there, 2 separate asset tags, and then quantities for those. Current status is open. If we head back now, basically, uh, for as I mentioned last time, for every procurement order, there will be an intake order. You can have multiple intake orders as well. Doesn't work the other way around, but in this case, I can add an intake order. So let me plug in a random IO name. I think I had used today's date somewhere. I'm just gonna say 22 just to make it easy. And I'm gonna search for the PO number. So I believe I had 8 at the end. Oops. Let me search through that. Okay, I gotta copy the procurement number. Sorry about that. Again, something that's still under work. So, but we'll make sure if you plug your number, you don't have to play through with it, right? I mean, it should show up immediately. So just bear with me here. All right. Okay. There you go. PO shows up as soon as I confirm that this is the PO number. Supplier information populates immediately. What's going to happen is your product info should also populate immediately. So that's one thing that will also happen moving forward. But for now, let me search through same thing, asset tag. As soon as I add, and I believe remember this one, maybe I had 3 of those. Let's see. There you go. So all this would be populated, just so you know, guys. You don't need to enter it again and again. That'd be crazy. Okay, bed frame, one of these. Add here. Okay, so what would happen is once you have a procurement order created, an intake order would be generated for that, and you'd already have these details show up. If you need to create a standalone intake order, is what I was showing you right now. I'm going to click on save. Oops, there is a date that it needs. Okay, let's put today's date. Let's see if I've missed anything. Nope, I'm good to go. I'm going to click on save. As soon as I do that, intake order is now created. Now, intake order has these steps, right? You're receiving, assemble, and put away. So let's see what those steps are here. So as usual, tabs tell you, first tab, all line items within that order. And then the next set is the set of tasks that you'll be performing. So right now I'm at receive. From a receive standpoint, you can scan in again, serialized, non-serialized. Essentially, it's based on quantity or Nixon barcode may. But depending on what you select, you'll be able to scan in the barcode. There is a barcode associated. I'm just going to randomly say 1, 2, 3, 4. What this tells me is out of the 3, I have received 1. If I collapse this section, I can basically see that I am able to receive individual items. Okay, I can receive it within a pallet as well, something that I showed last time. But let's try it out one more time. So 1, 2, 3, 3 as an example, and let's receive it in a new pallet. Pallet number pops up. Press on enter. As soon as I do so, second item is received, but that is received within a pallet now, right? So you can do multiple receipts. Let's scan in another item. One, two, three, two within the same pallet. So now you have two items going into the same pallet. One item that was received individually, and you third item that is on its own. We don't need to scan any number. It's quantity based. So think of this as your sets, different sets which have multiple items where you receive based on quantity rather than any specific attribute. Obviously, this receive will go away as well, like I said, on the dev environment. So please bear with me on that. But for now, we've received all the items. So receiving, again, just a new version of what the receiving is. Assemble task looks much cleaner now. We have asset tag showing up, product name showing up, the barcode that was generated, uh, color. Again, the only reason why we plugged in color is maybe that's an important factor when it comes to furniture. But if you want to add another parameter here, we'd be more than happy to do so. Usually it's one or two attributes that define that product, right? So tag and name is already there, color is already there, but if you tell me it should be something else, we could add those two. Not a big deal. Current status received. You can add images as well. If I click on these eye icons, I basically see a pop-up. You can add images as well. So let me see if that is working. Okay, there you go. Let me draw and see if I've got any screenshots that I can add. I just took a screenshot a few minutes ago. All right. Image gets added, image gets populated. Uh, if you click on an image, it will basically show you its full screen version. If you want to delete it, you can simply click on the delete icon that deletes it, and you can add images. I believe we agreed upon 8 to 10 images, so those number of containers would automatically show up. Okay. Now, so barcode is auto generated, so you don't need to generate a barcode per se. You can just print it out. I believe this work is still pending, but let's give it a try. Let's see if I can open this up. Yeah, I see just a blank page opening up. So barcode not yet completed, but that should be under works. Now, when you are assembling an item, of course, you need the objective is we should be able to say what components or what parts went into the assembly to create this particular product, right? So if I click on add view part, pretty straightforward, very simple. Again, some of these fields are marked as mandatory. You can let us know. This can be optional, not a big deal. But essentially, let's assume for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to click on the bed frame, and I'm going to say that the first part is the headboard. Uh, that's one. Color is whatever blue, and click on save. As soon as I do that, that particular piece gets added. So I'm basically telling in order to create this Robin King bed frame, I have used a headboard. Uh, I don't know if it's called a footboard, so forgive me if I'm not using the right term here. But let's say there's a footboard. I click on save, and I say there are side panels, right? For the lack of better term, I'll say two of these, and color is whatever, red in this case. And I click on save. So now what happens is the system is keeping a record, and then obviously you'll see one column. We don't need to see two columns there for the user. But what the system is now going to do is system is now going to make a record that okay, this product was assembled and these components were used for its assembly. Right. So we have a track at a granular level as well. All right, I'm going to close on this. Any point of time you want to view it, you should be able to view it. Not a big deal. But that's basically our assembly task. Once your assembly is done, you move on ahead to the put away task. And as I said, these queues or separate queues are also created. So if I go to put away, instead of doing it in one intake order, let me head over to put away. If I go to put away, as you can see, those items that have been assembled, those start showing up here. So we had this bed frame that we were working on. I'm going to click on this bed frame. It's the same PO number ending with 008. It did not have a master pallet number or unique. If it had a unique barcode instead of a serial number, that Nixon barcode would show up here basically. If it had a master pallet number would show up here. But put away, we reduced the number of clicks from what was our previous version. So it's actually great that you guys had the perfect timing when it comes to UAT and go live, because we just recently did the update on the receiving and put away piece, reducing number of clicks. That was kind of critical from a roadmap perspective and what feedback we got from our customers. So glad you guys can be a part of that update while you're going through the go live piece. So that's good. On put away. So now the way we have done it is you can either click on the location and simply scan your location code, or instead of this or search, you can simply click on the magnifying glass, which would basically bring up your mimicked location structure, your inventory location structure. Right now, these guys have configured it for one. So let me say I want to send it to, as an example, 009, right? So I'm sending it to location L009. So system now knows that this bed frame has been put away at location L009, right? So that was a journey from a procurement order perspective. Procurement order, we saw procurement order being created, a standalone intake order. Once again, I haven't shown you an automated intake order creation. I'm going to check with the team on that. Let me make a quick note there. But so far, we basically showed you intake order that was created, and within the intake order, you saw receiving, assemble, and put away. Just give me just a second while I'm making that intake order note. So intake order auto created. Okay. All right. Now, in here, once we have received it, we have put it at location L009. One of the other things that we are going to look at today is inventory management. One of the big pieces of inventory management, of course, other than put away, other than the location setup, which I showed you last time, was ability to transfer inventory between locations, right? So if I go to transfer inventory, what I'm going to do is I am basically going to say, and I should have picked up a particular number. Or actually, you know what? Let me show it to you in this way. Okay. So when you're doing inventory transfer, essentially you can do it based off of a location. So you can either choose a location. Remember, our location was 009. So I'm going to say L009. Hit search. As soon as I do so, the system now tells me what items are there. Remember our bed frame? This bed frame exists at L009. Along with it, there were two more pallets that do exist there. Okay. So you can do search by location, and then of course, I'll show you transferring in just a second. Or you can even do it by master pallet number. So let me pick this one since we already know it's at that location. If I come in here, search for that master pallet, then it gives me only information or the location only corresponding to this master pallet. So again, at a master pallet level, I know we had an asset tag. I know this was the one for the bed frame, so let's use that.
Ashish, just want to make sure I understand. When you say transfer inventory, is this moving inventory within, for example, like a warehouse, or would this be like transferring from a warehouse in Dallas to a warehouse in Houston?
No, this is within your existing location. Since you guys have just one location, once you have multiple locations, you will be able to move it to multiple locations. For that, we have a separate module. It's called inventory transfer order, because those have two physical addresses, right? Separate addresses. So for that, we have an inventory transfer order. This one, to your point, is basically moving it within the same warehouse or within the same physical address. Okay. All right. Once, so as I said, I can look up by location, master palette. If I look up by asset tag as well, I can see there's this bed frame that we put at L009. There are two other bed frames as well, same asset tag. current quantity is 2 and they are at location L002. So this also serves as your inventory lookup module, wherein you can basically look up your inventory again by these four different factors. Let me copy a name here and search by name, so that should also work. So you have options to search for inventory. And as you can see, bed frame that shows up. I should have picked up something else, but for now, what I'm going to do is how to transfer the inventory. So this was basically look up by four attributes. How do you transfer inventory? Simply select the item. You see the current location. You can plug in. You can just simply scan in a new location, or again use the magnifying glass, get to the graphical location structure, and instead of a 9, I'm going to say let's use 4 as an example. Once I do that, the transfer location shows up as 004, and I just click on transfer or submit, and we can change the verbiage on the button to make it easily understood and intuitive. But either ways, once you click on it, essentially the system now updates the location to 004. L009 goes away from the picture because it doesn't have any more inventory when it comes to the bed frame. Okay, so inventory transfer. Uh, we are, I believe, we did show. I'm not so sure if we worked on returns. Let me pull up our plan. Okay, we did show returns last time and some WMS activities. Okay, I won't go through that again, but let me see what else do we have. Was something new that has come up? A room type configuration. So that's something new that the team has been working on. Essentially, the thought process is, and again, you may be using a lot of these features or not. Not sure there, but the thought process is ability to basically add a particular room, and if you want to associate furnitures to a specific room, you should be able to do that as well. So that's the whole point behind this. And as you can see, uh, the list of masters that you provided, unit type, those show up here. Room areas, those show up here as well. So those masters are obviously configurable. If you want to add more or remove some of these, it drop downs would adjust real time automatically. Let me see if I have something here. Allocate, deallocate. Okay, there you go. So some of these rooms you can basically allocate certain items again. This is something in work, so I won't go much deeper than just a few clicks here. But you can add designer items. I don't know why automated items is there, but I'll check with the team. Either ways, the objective is you can configure different room types. You can associate specific furnitures to those, like for example, dining table would never go in a bedroom, as an example, or a bed would never be in a kitchen, right? So you can configure those. You can have some rules around those as well. I'll check on what designer or automated item is. I'm pretty sure the guys may be using your terminology, but either ways, I'm going to check on what's happening there. But room type configuration is something that the team is working on. I think I showed you email notification last time, but just a quick sneak peek on that again. If I've shown you already, essentially you'll be able to configure different notifications and put in whatever you need to: logos, hyperlinks, footers, uh, one critical piece of information I tell everybody: anything that is within these two hash signs, that's a dynamic field, so we request you not to edit or remove that. Just keep it as it is, else the email functionality would not function properly, right? So uh, but I believe I did show you this last time. Let me see what else do we got. I showed you supplier setup previously, product catalog. We saw that, location and facilities, roles and users as well. So I believe that's it from my side. Like I said, I mean, was going to be a short call, more from a progress perspective as to what we have. Procurement order is wrapped up. Returns is, I mean, wrapped up in the sense it just needs a few tweaks, QA to be done, and the issues to be fixed. But I think those two are taken care of, along with some of your masters. I know not all of the masters are there. Inventory management that also needs some work, and again QA wise. But what we will see next is customer lease management, and then the creation of a project order. Actually, you know what? There is a pick task that the guys were working on, so I'm excited to show you that. Again, incomplete, it's still work in progress, but they have some dummy information here. Let me go through this. So I don't know if you guys remember a slide deck and whatnot. Essentially, based on your room, you'll be able to see items that you can essentially pick. Again, ignore the images, please. But appropriate item and images would start showing up, and on your info tab, you'll basically see how many items to pick, and then, excuse me, these keep on updating as and when you start picking items, and those picked items are going to show up here as well. But again, something that's in works. I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek. But that's it from my side. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, if you can go back to the, this is John speaking. If you can go back to the intake order, how would
Sure.
how would reverse logic handle split model numbers? And I'll just give you an example use case. Like let's say we sometimes we purchase furniture items in a bundle and they need to be separated out. Like for example, like a side table bundle may have a big and small side table. But so how would we do that in the intake order?
So the big question now is, when you go to your product catalog, are those defined as a bundle or is that defined as three separate items? It really depends on what your definition is, because your intake order will always run off of your procurement order, and your procurement order always runs off of the way the products have been defined, right? Essentially, if I come in, oh sorry, if I go back here and if I click on add, if you remember, it's essentially after I select the supplier, you're either looking by name, meaning product name, or you're looking by asset tag. These two entities or attributes are always associated with the product, or think of it as a product definition. So if you have put that bundle as a product itself, then you got to receive it as a bundle. Put it as three separate items, you should be able to receive as three separate items. So really depends on how you define that product.
Okay, so let's say a supplier, a vendor defined it as a bundle, and when we receive it, we want to split it apart. How would we do that?
Sorry. Uh, okay, let me think through it. I mean, if we have to split it apart, right, we would have to define the components of those bundle, because unless we define the components of the bundle, we won't be able to split it out. I mean, I'll just give you an example. One of the systems we were working with is an Xbox, right? So an Xbox bundle could be the box, the two controllers, and let's say five series as an example, right? Five games as an example. So what happens is we within our other systems we do receive that in as a bundle, but when you go to do the inspection per se, those items start showing up not as a bundle but individual line items. Why? Because the bundle was defined, but also the items within were defined as well, right? And the inspection obviously happens at the item level, not the bundle level. So what, in order for you guys to split something, the system needs to have a definition, and if you have the definition, then you'd be able to split those out. So definition again, it all boils down to how you've defined it as a product.
But we're able to adjust our definitions for those at any point. So it's like we can edit these things with relative ease. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. If I go to your products, I mean, you should be able to edit these. I know we have API connects as well, but there is an upload template as well. So tomorrow, if you want to bulk upload something and bulk edit something, let me clear that out. Bulk edit something, you should be able to do that as well. So not a big deal.
Then I had another question for the intake order. Well, actually, this can go to intake order or put away, and that's like how do we prepare reverse logics to do bulk scanning? So, for example, like an intake order, let's say we get a pallet with 50 things, and we love to just like tell the reverse logics these 50 things I scan, mark them all as received instead of what you doing it like one by one.
Correct. So the way it would work is that let me try to see if I have something here. Just bear with me. We basically have like a manual receipt as well. Essentially, you're checking off items and then receiving it. Let me see if I have something like that, or put away. Okay. All right. Minimize this. I think, okay, these guys are put away. But essentially, what would happen is, let's say you have a pallet, right? So, okay. Let me go back a little bit. You said you're going to receive a pallet, right? When you receive a pallet at receipt, you would be opening it, right? When you open it, there will be items within. Because remember, at receipt, you will never see a pallet within reverse logic. We always receive an item. We don't receive a pallet here, right? But for this screen itself. So essentially, these would show up as items, and then you can simply come in and I'm sorry, I don't have that exact direct example, but essentially, what would happen is you can just select all items and just say receive. Uh, if not, then the scanning would be on an individual item level. I mean, you'd have to scan 50 times, assuming there are 50 items in the pallet to receive them. If not, then you can just simply select those list of items and then just do a plain receipt, a manual receipt. But again, I just want to be careful. When you receive the items in, you won't see pallets here, but you'll basically see items, individual items that went on the procurement order, right? Because on the procurement order, you never order for the pallet, you order products. So those same line items will show up here. Now, after you receive it and you want to put it away in a pallet, you've already seen that, right? So you should be able to do that. And of course, if anything goes under pallet, then it won't show up under assembly, right? Because you palletized it and closed it. Only other items which are not palletized, individually received, you should be able to assemble them and put away. The whole purpose of pallet or the thought process is when you're bunching or you're putting grouping together like-minded items which do not need assembly, right? Like a dinner set as an example, or set of 500 forks as an example.
Oh, good to know. Okay, but all right, let me throw out another example. I just want to make sure we all understand. So, like a put away example. So let's say we have to put away like 20 things, and it's all the same thing. It's all going to go in the same location. Is there a way to location scan that shelf, and then scan all the 20 things, and then put them on the shelf, and they all have the same status update? Or do we have to like scan the shelf, scan the item, put it on the shelf, rinse and repeat 20 times?
No. So put away is pretty straightforward. Again, you will always have a select all functionality where you can select items, just scan the location code once and put it away. That's it.
What's it? 720.
Now, how would that work in the instance of just someone with a tablet or a phone, in terms of them, scanning to put away in that instance? Like, are they looking at the same screen that we're looking at right now, or is it a different?
Correct. They're looking at a similar screen. I wouldn't say it's the exact same, because obviously the screen would be adjusted for a smaller device, smaller screen size. So an almost similar, let me call it that, almost similar looking screen, but essentially they'll have the same features available. So you can still do a select all in that scenario, or you can, when you basically simply click on this what do you call scan a box. Essentially, your camera will open up, and then you can simply put your tablet in front of that barcode, scan it in. That location will now pop up here, just like this, and you can simply click on the button saying put this away.
Okay. And then I don't know if this is for this demo or not, but how can we see who actually scanned the item and who actually put it away?
So excellent question. So one of the tabs that you will see eventually is basically a tab all the way to the right. That tab is going to be a history tab or an RMA log tab, different terminologies, but essentially think of it as an audit trail, right? So who placed the procurement order, what date it was, who created the intake order, right? what date and time it was, who actually received it, who assembled it, who put it away, and again timestamp against each one of those. So you'll have all of that under one tab, which is a history tab that you said the extreme right, and the history tab is always there on every order. So you'll see one on intake, one on procurement, one on returns, and I think we have a project order, so one on project order.
Right. Another question. Thank you for that. Another question is, let's say a warehouse associate is putting away items in the wrong location. So let's say they scan the location, but it's the wrong one. How does reverse logics let that warehouse associate know they're in the wrong location?
So firstly, how do you define what is a wrong location?
Well, okay, so I'm looking at your screen right now. Let's say someone's putting away chairs and they're putting away a chair in location L006, but we have our warehouse map that chairs belong in L002.
Right. Okay. So you're basically asking what? Okay. So we do something called as entity or location tagging, but that's a feature of our advanced WMS module. Our 3PLs use that. Essentially, what happens is if you can basically tag it based on product, based on other attributes, right? If that's the case, then the system will basically throw an error. Right now, based on what you guys have, that capability is not a part of this particular module. So if that's a capability that you guys need, and again, I don't know what else you would need along with that, because our advanced WMS is kind of extensive. I don't really think you guys would need that, but that is something that we can talk through. I mean, we just got to get in touch with Diana and Oz, so they know what you guys are asking for, and they can let you know as to which module or whatever it is, right? So,
So
but yes,
so that Diane told us that was out of the box like configuration.
Yeah, that is out of the box for WMS module, right? So I don't know if you bought our WMS module, which very few of our customers have bought, which is 3PL customers, right? Somebody who deals with millions of or hundred thousands of units a day. So I doubt you guys would have had something like that, but I'll check with her. I'll check with her, not a problem. So location tagging.
I was just checking the. This is Cam.
Yeah.
The contract. It does look like we signed up for the WMS. Just so you know.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I will confirm it with Diana just so she's in the loop as well. And if that's the case, we'll make sure where we have essentially what would happen. I can let you know on the screen itself. Essentially, what would happen here is if I go to org management and location, every time I go ahead and create a location. So let me jump right here. Every time I go ahead and create a location, essentially you will see another icon show up here, and that icon is basically associating attributes to this. So what you can basically say is L001, you can say only these products should go in here. So the next time when somebody accidentally scans it, it throws an error saying, hey, you're scanning an incorrect location. And when you go to if you click on that magnifying glass, what would happen is the system would basically, if it's not a chair, the system would not allow the user to select L001. They can select everything else, but not L001. So that's basically what it is. So let me confirm it with her, and if that's the case, I will make sure that the team adds that, so at least you can see that for our next version.